Hello, I'm Sakura Tateiwa. I'm graduating Pratt Institute this May with a major in communications design with a concentration in graphic design and minor in photography. Form and Culture is a project that's part of my senior thesis at Pratt. This project investigates the relationship between form and culture through the lens of typography and visual language, including how it relates to the urgency of addressing existing Asian stereotype. Since the coronavirus pandemic has started in the US, I started to see more and more news about Asian people getting attacked verbally and physically because there are people who believe that Asian people brought the virus. The victims of assaults are not only Chinese people, but also anyone who's Asian. These news articles and personal stories show that existing Asian stereotypes breed discrimination and fear. COVID-19 is making it worse today, and I think that this problem needs to be urgently addressed. How? I began this project before coronavirus started, but the pandemic made this work more urgent of an issue. I decided to attack this problem of Asian stereotypes in the US by investigating a topic that's approachable and recognizable to a wide range of audiences, which is food. Growing up in America as an Asian, the use of typography and visual aesthetic used for Asian restaurants stood out to me. Why do the majority of Asian restaurants use the same font and aesthetic? Why is there a certain typeface that people recognize as an Asian typeface? These are the store signs of restaurants that's named Sakura in America. I've noticed that a number of Asian restaurants use a brushstroke typeface for their signs. The most used popular brushstroke typeface is called chop suey. A social media survey that I conducted revealed that the quote-unquote Asian font gives people an impression of cheap, fast Asian food. While investigating topics for my thesis, I noticed that all restaurants with my name Sakura approach visual language very similarly. I made a tablecloth with dishes served with these Sakura restaurants. This was an investigation into the materiality and food ritual. From this visual research, I questioned, what is the origin of chop suey typeface? Why is it associated with Asian culture? Originally, the chop suey typeface was created to promote and rebuild Chinatown in San Francisco after the earthquake in 1906. However, this typeface started to be used for propaganda, which caused an association between the font and any Asian culture. Today, Asian font officially shows up on Google search. This represents that the stereotype caused generalizing and flattening Asian cultures into one aesthetic. In addition, this font is considered as bad font among designers even though it was not meant to represent cheap quality. Since I'm Japanese and I was interested in the use of chop suey typeface for Japanese culture, I questioned, why is using chop suey for Japanese culture considered as a stereotype? How is Japanese aesthetic represented through Japanese typography? There are Japanese typefaces such as this one that are inspired by a historical typeface tsukiji. The letters feature sumi ink spots from Japanese calligraphy. This looks nothing like chop suey. I was curious, how would a Japanese typeface look like if I designed with the same element as chop suey font? So I designed a Japanese hiragana typeface based on the chop suey font features. Now I started to make more visual explorations based on the research. My first exploration is based on the question, how does form affect value and connotation? I distorted a letter S in chop suey typeface in various ways to see how the distortion changed the connotation of the font. I extended the visual research across a matrix to arrive at 225 variations using a morphological study. My next exploration is based on a question, how do people associate aesthetic and culture? How does change in form affect viewers' perspectives? I chose some of the distorted chop suey explorations, and I made a book, which is a collection of images that people associated to each letter form distorted from chop suey typeface. After creating these explorations, I applied them in forms that we are familiar with in everyday life. The first outcome is package design using the form explorations. When we hear take out chopsticks, it is easy to imagine these designs. There's no rules or guidelines for these chopstick case designs, but why are they usually designed within the similar aesthetics? Isn't this due to the stereotype in Asian culture? I redesigned chopstick cases with the distorted chop suey lettering forms. Does this change the connotation of the product? This is a classic takeout box from Asian restaurants that we think of. I redesigned them with different typefaces. Do they still convey the same connotation as the classic takeout box with the chop suey typeface? How do the box shapes change the meaning of takeout box? How do colors and patterns affect it? It's not easy to completely eradicate stereotypes that's already planted in our culture, but it's possible to create something new by deconstructing and using it. I started deconstructing the chop suey typeface by making a grid system based on the strokes, and I ended up creating a new typeface based on the grid system. In order to share my research and explorations, I designed a website that allows users to interact with the project. The website background interacts to the cursor motion, and some images can be reorganized in a different grid system. I made the website approachable and fun, just like how I tackle this issue of Asian stereotype in the US. I want people to be engaged with my works and with the larger problems that my projects point out. And that's my project, Form and Culture. Thank you for watching my presentation.